Hey dudes, SilviteSoltis here, and today I've got another video for you. As you know, I played World of Warcraft for a long time, spanning from 2005 until 2021 really. But even though I spent a majority of my gaming life enjoying the MMO scene, I actually quite enjoyed another genre even before stumbling into the online realm. Worlds of dragons, magic crystals, and summoning spells were my jam, even before I entered middle school back in the early 2000s. So today, I thought I'd go back to rank and describe some of my favorite titles from the genre that is very close to my heart. That is, of course, the genre of Japanese role-playing games. Before getting into it though, I want to note that there are many JRPGs, and even more games that are hard to say whether or not even count as JRPGs. Also, some well-known franchises have multiple games, which could result in an overrepresentation in these rankings. Thus, in the interest of clarity and fairness, I will only include one game per franchise in my rankings. In addition, I won't include any of the Pokemon games, as though they may officially count as JRPGs, they don't contain any of the traditional JRPG tropes. You know, swords, power crystals, this overarching world-threatening evil, stuff like that. Finally, I won't include any MMORPGs because, well, they're in their own genre. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get into it. These are my personal top 5 Japanese role-playing games. Number 5. An absolute gem of a role-playing game, Super Mario RPG combined two amazing aspects of 90s gaming: the epic RPG adventures of Square, and the iconic mascot of Nintendo. It was truly a product of its time that I think holds up surprisingly well. The story sets off with Mario setting out to rescue Princess Toadstool after she is, once again, kidnapped by Bowser. Things take an unexpected turn, however, when a giant sword falls from the sky and sends the hero flying from the keep. The rest of the game involves exploring dungeons to collect pieces of the Star Road. Along the way, you run into some great, albeit strange characters, gain unexpected allies, and ride barrels down a river. Actually, for me, that's the biggest reason for putting Super Mario RPG on this list. With its quirky sense of humor and unforgettable soundtrack, Super Mario RPG delighted me as a kid. I had awesome times chasing Croco around for Mallow's coin, getting lost in the forest, and trying to mash the action button at just the right time to get bonus damage on my attacks. The characters are all wacky and over the top, and I'm all for it. It might not be your standard magic and crystals JRPG, but it definitely has all the right elements. And though I can't speak to the quality of the remake, as I don't own a Nintendo Switch, I definitely think it's a worthwhile game for anyone interested in RPGs to consider picking up. Number 4. Another amazing gem from the glory days of the Super Nintendo. Chrono Trigger has got it all. Swords, robots, magic, aliens, and more. From the moment you load up the game until the final battle, this game grabs your attention and doesn't let go. Basically, you start the game as a nobody swordsman, just hanging out in a standard RPG hometown. Before long, Chrono befriends a runaway in the town fair, and through a series of wild circumstances, you end up on a quest to save the world. This game has JRPG written all over it. But unlike many other games in the genre, this game trades the magic crystals of power trope for fantasy science fiction time travel. And robots! Needless to say, the story is incredible. One of sacrifice and loss, of making unexpected allies, and persevering against overwhelming odds. As you journey across time to save the planet from the mysterious darkness residing within, you encounter some of the most memorable characters. A princess, a frog, an inventor, a cave woman, a robot, and some sort of magic vampire dude. At first glance, the crew makes no sense, but when you encounter them naturally along the course of the narrative, learning their backstories along the way, you can't help but come to love them. Further adding to the memorable story and the characters is the expertly composed soundtrack. Every character theme, town, dungeon, and even battle anthem immerses you and invokes the intended emotions with precision. The battle theme hypes you up. Frog's theme gives off a majestic feel of an honorable knight. And the prehistoric party theme sounds like, well, a prehistoric party. In going back and listening to all the soundtracks again, I can't really find a song that I don't enjoy from this masterpiece. It's great from the moment you boot it up, right until the very end. So, with its unique, Dragon Ball-esque art style, diverse and interesting cast of characters, and fabulous musical score, Chrono Trigger is, without a doubt, one of the greatest JRPGs out there. Number 3. Final Fantasy. I'm sure it's no surprise to see one of these on a top 5 JRPGs list, what with the franchise basically being synonymous with the genre itself. But with so many great titles to choose from, one might wonder why I chose number 6. Final Fantasy games are all known for having epic, adventurous storylines and great and memorable characters that the player can relate with. That said, FF6 has two things that set it far above and beyond the other entries in the franchise: the ending to the first half of the game, and the main antagonist, Kefka Palazzo. If you've never played Final Fantasy VI, I'll warn you right now that I'll be mentioning major spoilers for the story. Pause the video, go spend some 30 hours or so playing this masterpiece, and then come back. Seriously, I mean it. You've been warned. Okay, so Final Fantasy VI has an amazing story brought to life by a huge cast of interesting and varied characters, and a flawless soundtrack by Nobuo Uematsu. The game starts with a cutscene that introduces you to one such character, Terra, as she travels across the frozen tundra with 2 soldiers to attack a town. While the cutscene plays out, the credits roll, giving the game a sort of cinematic feel from the very beginning. As you continue through the story, Terra is joined by Locke, Sabin, Cyan, Celeste, and many others as they attempt to thwart the plot of the Gestelian Empire. This is all well and good, and pretty standard JRPG, until you get to that final confrontation on the floating continent. There, your party is all set to take out the Emperor and his right-hand man, Kefka Palazzo, when suddenly things take an unexpected turn. Kefka turns on and assassinates the Emperor, before using the very power that the Empire was seeking in order to literally destroy the world. Your party shatters, and everything fades to black as the world ends. And that's the end of Part 1. The first time I played this, I was completely blindsided. I had no idea that there was a second half to the game, an entire world of ruin, as it's called. When Kefka won, I was in utter disbelief. But when I saw Celeste awaken on the beach, I knew that it wasn't over just yet. The themes of second chances and renewed hope against the utter hopelessness and despair represented by Kefka resonate so powerfully throughout the second half of the game. And when you do eventually find everyone and get the band back together, there's this amazing sense of accomplishment. After struggling through so much, your group ascends to the real final dungeon and takes the fight to Kefka, now very much considered to be a god, resulting in an epic and climactic 4-phase showdown. This fight takes forever, but it's all worth it when you finally destroy the madman who has been laughing in your face the whole game. It is truly one of the greatest finales in RPG history, and one that I'm delighted to include in this list. Number 2.
Once upon a time, there existed a giant tree that was the source of mana. A war, however, caused this tree to wither away, and a hero's life was sacrificed in order to take its place. Grieving over the loss, the goddess disappeared unto the heavens. The goddess left the angels with this edict: "You must wake me, for if I should sleep, the world shall be destroyed." The angels bore the chosen one, who headed towards the tower that reached up unto the heavens. And that marked the beginning of the regeneration of the world.
Tales of Symphonia, a classic title from the Nintendo GameCube. I have so many fond memories of this game. Slashing away at enemies as Lloyd Irving, hunting down hidden secret items, exploring different pathways through the story, and even failing to make sandwiches. Released in 2004, this spectacular RPG was one of the first games that I can say I played to death. Like nearly all JRPGs, it contains magic, swords, technology, and an epic quest to save the world via objectives in different elemental-themed dungeons. However, there are some unique aspects to TOS that set it apart from other JRPGs that I've played. First of all, Tales of Symphonia utilizes an action-based combat system instead of the widely used turn-based combat of other RPGs. This system allows the player to directly control one of the party members and actively move around, attack, and chain combos as they see fit. You are in charge of how you attack and defend during battle, which makes the gameplay extremely fast-paced and engaging. What's more, you can select which party member you want to control, allowing you to explore different combat styles and choose a character that suits you. When you first start, it's easy to hack and slash as the main protagonist, Lloyd Irving. As you progress through the story, however, you may be tempted to attempt the spellcaster, Genus, or the slow and heavy axe swings of Presea instead. So whether you enjoy healing, close-range combat, or long-range spellcasting, there's definitely a playstyle that you can enjoy. But that's not all. Tales of Symphonia also offers the unique ability to fight together with your friends in battle. While typically role-playing games are single-player experiences, TOS allows you the opportunity to invite friends into the action by simply plugging in the second, third, and/or fourth-player controllers. So if you're having a few friends over, everyone can take control of a different character and have a good time. Speaking of the characters, Tales has some of my favorites of all time. From the swordsmen Lloyd, Kratos, and Zelos, to the spellcasters Genus and Rain, to even the mighty warrior Presea and the convict Regal, every character brings a unique and interesting personality to the table. What's more, each of their backstories is written such that they have an integral stake in the adventure of the party. So despite their immense differences, they have a great camaraderie and build each other up over the course of the game. Furthermore, the game contains an affection system that allows certain characters to become closer with the main protagonist, Lloyd. This system unlocks different cutscenes and can even impact the end of the game depending on your choices, meaning you'll need to play through the game multiple times to see all of the content it has to offer. So, the characters and combat are great, but what about the story? Well, with an epic quest to save two worlds vying for each other's resources, Tales of Symphonia definitely delivers. from the journey of regeneration at the start of the game to the more fantastical sci-fi aspects toward the end. Tales grips the player and takes them on an amazing journey. There are high and low points for our party that are all memorable in their own right, but the thing I find personally most enjoyable about the story is actually the overarching theme of discrimination. The game introduces this theme very early on, like within the first 20 minutes or so. We don't get it straight away though, and are eased into it over the course of our journey. At first, there are some offhanded comments about humans being inferior and Lloyd's dad being a dwarf. But by the middle, we start to fully understand how pervasive discrimination is throughout the worlds of Sylvarant and Tethe'alla. Half-elves in particular are hated by both humans and elves, leading to their own negative views towards those races in return. People are constantly arrested and forced into what are effectively concentration camps, calling on the past of Nazi Germany to make that point. By the end, we, as the players, are vehemently against the cycle of racism and discrimination that has plagued the world for thousands of years, and we do everything in our power to bring peace and balance back to the world for everyone: human, elf, half-elf, dwarf, and all elves. I was a teenager when I first played through this game, with no real sense of the world or the very serious impact that discrimination actually has on people. To be honest, Tales of Symphonia opened my eyes to the issue and made me consider how others might be treated simply due to their background or the color of their skin. So ever since I first saved these worlds all the way back in 2005, I have tried to consider other people's perspectives and experiences when interacting with them. And while I'm not perfect by any means, I am sure that I've become a more understanding and sympathetic person thanks to the lessons of Tales of Symphonia. Number 1. Oh man, that opening always gives me goosebumps. Skies of Arcadia, released in the year 2000 on the Sega Dreamcast, is a cult classic JRPG. It contains everything you'd expect: crystals, magic, swords, and yes, an epic adventure to save the world. But unlike other entries in this list, this one's got pirates. So, grab your cutlass and eye patch. It's a swashbuckling adventure. I first played Skies of Arcadia via a demo disc that I got for free at a game shop back in 2002. I had just bought myself a Sega Dreamcast so that I could play Sonic Adventure 2, and was immediately hooked. I must have played that demo disc like 5 times before finally deciding to buy the game, and when I finally got my hands on a copy, I couldn't stop playing. As far as storylines go, it's pretty much your standard JRPG. Your young protagonist with big dreams meets a mysterious stranger, has his home destroyed, and sets off on an epic quest to defeat the evil empire responsible and save the world. You dive into dungeons, collect powerful crystals, and meet an assortment of fun and quirky characters along the way. All in all, it's pretty standard. So why exactly do I think it deserves my #1 spot? Well, for starters, Skies of Arcadia has an absolutely amazing musical score that suits every situation perfectly. Composers Yutaka Minobe and Tatsuyuki Maeda grab your attention from the title screen with a beautiful and serene string piece, masterfully playing into the sky-based setting of the world. As you travel through the world seeking the moon crystals, the songs perfectly align with each setting and situation. A jungle beat for the jungle town, a sad and depressing tune for the worn-down and forgotten old cities, and an upbeat jingle every time you win a battle. Now, none of these are particularly unique to SOA. After all, lots of games have musical numbers that play into the settings, but the tracks of Skies just do it so much better than any other game I've come across. My personal favorite example of this occurs when the party is betrayed by a newfound ally. As the betrayal is revealed, the track Dimming Lights plays, opening with a sharp piano trill. Our heads perk up along with Vice, Aika, and Fina, as we realize what's just happened. This sort of thing happens again and again throughout the story. Perfectly timed tracks and sound clips that establish an atmosphere of excitement, turmoil, and adventure at all the right moments. If you haven't enjoyed it yet, I highly encourage it. So, the music is great, but that's only one aspect of the game. What about the gameplay itself? How are the battles? Well, Skies of Arcadia shines brightly in this area as well. Like many RPGs of the time, Skies utilizes a turn-based combat system. Each character selects an action, then the party and the opponent take their turns. Every character has some powerful super moves, as well as the ability to attack, cast magic, or defend. Unlike other RPGs, however, Skies has a unique mechanic in the form of spirit points, a pooled resource that the entire party shares. Each turn, the party members generate these spirit points, either passively or by using the focus ability. Then, these points can be spent on powerful super moves, or magic spells. This means you can save up a bunch of spirit points and unleash holy hell on your opponent all at once, or strategically budget the points for specific moments in the fight. Speaking of the super moves, they are all wonderful spectacles. If you're familiar with the summon spells of Final Fantasy, you have an idea of what to expect. Each character has moves specific to their class fantasy. Vice, the sword specialist, Aika, the fiery AoE master, and Fina, the wise healing sage. What's more, if you max out your spirit points, you unlock the ultimate super moves, Prophecy and Blue Rose. All of these attacks come with their own animations and effects, and they are generally very important to the party combat of the game. Wait, why did I say party combat like that? Well, that's because there's a whole nother battle system. Yes, in addition to a unique spin on turn-based battles, Skies of Arcadia also has a system of ship battles. It is a pirate game, after all. Occasionally, after completing a dungeon, or while traveling around the world, you'll have to fight using your current ship. Each party member gets a turn in the grid to fire cannons, guard, focus, cast magic, or use items. The ships circle each other in the sky as you make your selection, then you get to watch as each turn plays out. However, what's most interesting about the ship battles are the different options that you're given. Throughout the battle, you'll get choices for what actions to take. Stop moving, turn hard right, fly straight up, etc. These choices affect the following turns, meaning that you'll need to consider what impact each action could have on the next turn. One wrong move and your ship could be sunk. With the right choice, big damage. And who doesn't love that? I could keep discussing the combat of Skies of Arcadia for a long time, but I think you get the point. It's just epic. There's a ton more that I love about this game. The characters, the comedy, and the many different little upgrade systems that they implemented to drive players to explore the grand skies. However, there's one final reason that I just had to rank Skies of Arcadia as my #1 JRPG of all time. Ah, the feels. There's nothing that takes me back to my carefree, youthful days the way Skies of Arcadia does. It's a comforting feeling to fire up the Dreamcast, or an emulator, and just zone out while sailing across the skies seeking discoveries and adventure. No matter how many years pass, or how many times I've completed the story, I always have a good time when I'm in Arcadia. There's no denying that Skies of Arcadia is a bit of a dated game. A classic JRPG from the turn of the century that has all the tropes and cliches associated with the genre. But the simple fact of the matter is, I love it. It was the first RPG that I bought and played through to completion, not counting any Pokemon games, and it will always have a special place in my heart for that reason. I love Skies of Arcadia so much, and I'm proud to say that with its amazing soundtrack, unique battle mechanics, varied magic and upgrade systems, and fantastic story, it is my #1 JRPG of all time. So, there you have it, my top 5 Japanese role-playing games. In general, it's a genre that I've always found enjoyable, and these games are some of the best that I've encountered. Skies of Arcadia, and Tales of Symphonia in particular, had long-lasting impacts on my worldview and personal identity ever since I first played them all those years ago. I mean, I even took the online alias of Silvite directly from one of the civilizations of Skies, and it's been nearly 20 years. I think that gives some idea of how important that game and the genre as a whole is to me. But anyway, yeah. I hope that if you haven't already, you consider giving some of these games a try too, as they really are a lot of fun. That said, I'd also like to know what you think. Are there any particular games that I've missed and should consider checking out? Or maybe you would arrange them in a different order than I did? Either way, feel free to leave a comment down below to let me know your thoughts or suggestions. I'll be the first to admit that I haven't played every game, especially since World of Warcraft took over my gaming life from 2005 to 2021. So I would love to know what else I should explore. Who knows, maybe in 20 years I'll have a new JRPG Top 5 video. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching my video. I truly appreciate you sticking around. And until next time, and as always, take it easy guys.